Yep. What's good? Jay Haynes, Top Slug, Sofa King, back with another video for you. Um, another struggle, another bootleg Yap City. Um, yeah, man. The only thing I want to talk about right now, really quick, try to upload this, get it out, get it on the web. Got to talk about this YouTube drama still. The Fresh and Fit expose, fiasco, and their current response. Um, I'm sure there'll be a lot of videos dissecting, breaking down, going over the different topics. And I've even been watching a few things this morning while I'm free. Um, just kind of checking out what the vibe is because, I did kind of tune into the Fresh and Fit explanation. And I mean, really, they ain't say nothing that was new or anything that exonerated them. I think they just gave a different perspective to a lot of the issues that were said about them, and they kind of crafted a narrative that kind of made them look like they are like victims or being taken advantage of by all these different people. And I'm really confused, man. I'm really confused. Like that's not what I know the Manosphere to be about. That's not what I actually tune into that type of content for. I expect as men for the first thing for you to do is to take accountability when you make a mistake, and especially some of the mistakes they made, while are kind of normal for the common man, I guess. As somebody in their positions, the decision making should be at a much higher level. And I don't know how like fans or people who kind of patronize them, or people who pay for their courses or follow their kind of doctrine about game. I don't see how you can kind of just skip over some of the things that happen. I mean, I know that the issues got a little like conflated with, you know, he say, she say, people pulling up, all this extra drama. But the core things for me as a man and somebody who did have a certain level of respect for them as businessmen, like I said in the previous video, was just how they moved, right? It's not about the women. It's not about like, um, you know, red pill, blue pill, simping, anything. It doesn't matter what type of man you claim yourself to be. There's just certain things that you don't do, you don't jeopardize, you don't say, and like they did all of that. So I don't really know what the argument is, but somehow, some way, they were able to kind of craft that narrative, at least in a way that their core fan base seems to be right back on board. And I think that the problem for me with that is, I don't knock anybody's hustle, right? And if, people accept it, they accept it. But I think the issue is that it's not like people is accepting it and saying, hey, you know what, Fresh and Fit, they fucked up, but we really like them, we love them, they did all these great things, so we're going to ride with them even through their mistakes. People are basically trying to make it seem like mistakes weren't made, you know what I mean? And I don't really see how that's possible. um, I think, just to keep it strictly to the core issues, the main issues were, number one, it started off with the whole Abba and Preach situation. Abba and Preach, for whatever reason, made that video about them, and they took offense to it, right? But the thing I would say about that is that I can't really knock Abba and Preach for that, right? If they don't like the dudes, if they have some type of personal issue, or if they just don't, the way they feel in the video is accurate. I mean, they made a video about their opinion, and they would just have to stand by it, right? It's not about, oh, well, they did somebody dirty. If I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you, right? And if we had some type of business relationship and that ended, and then I comment on something that you do, it's one thing if I want to maintain a personal relationship, or it's one thing if I use personal information against you. But if I just comment on your video like I comment on everybody else, I guess there would be a certain level of, mutual respect there. But if I don't fuck with you, I mean, all I have to do is really stand on my reasons for not fucking with you, or stand on my criticisms, and that's it. It doesn't matter when or how long it took and things like that. It's about answering the actual topic, especially as a man, right? You can say all those things on the back end, but initially, if I talk about, okay, well, you guys are doing this and you say this and it doesn't really add up with other things I know, then just like we talk about when we are, having certain conversations about men, men and women, you want people to stick to the actual topic, right? And like not make it about, well, you hurt my feelings. And that's what it seemed like that was happening, right? And it seems like the fans were okay with that. And I think that primarily comes from them just being very hardcore fans. And I definitely understand it, because if you are a young man, 18, 20, 25, whatever, you may have a certain affinity for Fresh and Fit, that like you really want to ride with them. But at the same time, if you're following the actual information that's being given, not just by them, but in the manosphere, like they're kind of moving kind of counter to that. I know there was like a big talk about, you know, how they responded, right? And so when they responded, they got loud, they got emotional, they got extra, they dissed the man's wife, they challenged the man to their hands, in which, that's a cool response, I guess, if you stand on it, right? And they didn't stand on it. It was like a few days later they were saying, no, no, we don't want any smoke, and we just want to do our thing, which to me that's a strike, that's a L. You know what I mean? Because you took it to a level that it didn't need to go. You lost composure, you got emotional, and then you didn't want to stand behind the things you said when you got emotional, which men get emotional sometimes, that's a fact. But if you get emotional and it ends up and you got to run a fade, then you got to run the fade, right? You don't get to run away from that and then, oh, you can't call me a punk though. Nah, you a punk, right? Like that's just what it is. Now you may have a good reason and all these different things, but with that person that you have the problem with, you can't tell them not to want to smoke at that point. You've invited it, you've dissed the man's wife, and now he wants to fight. You told him you would box. You got to box, you know what I mean? And if you don't, then that's an L. You know what I mean? There's no way around that. And that's cool, I guess. That'll be handled how it's handled between men. So I don't think that's really something that has to be a big YouTube kind of thing. But after that, just the way they kind of move, some of the arrogance, it caused other things to come out. And the one thing that I would say more than anything is kind of unexcusable is the character issues, right? Like the character issues that are presented. It's not about the girls. It's not about protecting women or believing women or any of that. It doesn't have to be, even though those points are important to an extent. The main thing I would say is that like it shows a very hard to kind of grasp lack of character, right? If you are, number one, getting emotional, right? You're supposed to be red pill content creators. You're supposed to be manosphere, real men, alphas. You're getting emotional about stuff you don't need to get emotional. That's one thing. Number two, you're propositioning women using your platform for sex, and I mean, that's not it, right? Like that's kind of whack. Um, but that's just corny, right? Like that's not a big thing. But how you did it in this situation, it's nasty, right? Like you tried to hit this white girl up. She's, nice young lady, but she's nothing special. She's pretty basic. You propositioned her. You kind of came at her in a really like dry, like corny way. Like it's like not even about it being offensive. It's just being about like what type of game is this? Like I heard people say today, and this is how I feel. Like you should have just talked to her, and then brought her around you, and then whatever you said, whatever you ran from there, it would have had to be respected to an extent. But you doing that over the text conversation and getting screenshotted, and then like you talking crazy, like I don't give a fuck if you expose this, and then when it gets exposed, it's like, oh, you a victim, right? Like I don't get that, right? That's more victimhood. So that's another strike. That's another L in my opinion. That can't be refuted. That's happened. That's what they showed us in the text. Now they can say, well, she said this and she said that. What type of bitch made shit is that? Like we supposed to be men, we supposed to be men, and we pointing to our fuck ups to a woman. and saying, well, she did something wrong, as if half of your content is not about how women do all this wild shit. And then when they make the decisions that they make, or decisions that are consistent with how you know women to act, you as the man who's supposed to be not only a man, but you're supposed to be a high level alpha. You know, you're rich, you got all these things going for you, you seem like an intelligent guy. You used to be an FBI agent. I won't even get into that because, you know what I mean, I'm from the hood, man. Like, we ain't into that. So whatever have you, like, all these things are true, so you can give context, you can give a narrative around it, but the principal point that people had an issue with, it remains, right? So I don't really get that. I don't understand that, and I'm not knocking it. I don't want these guys to be just like cast aside like there's some type of like irredeemable people, but like at the same time, the way it's being handled, it just makes it worse and worse for me. So I don't really care at this point. I think they should be kind of pushed aside if they're going to kind of continue with the same rhetoric and mindset as if they didn't do anything wrong and they're just victims, and because that's not, that doesn't really have place here. You know what I mean? That's not me, as somebody who had my own journey into like manhood and things like that. Those are the things that I had to get rid of. You know what I mean? I had to get rid of all that unaccountability, fake accountability. This happened because of this. All these things out of my control. I'm just here. Oh, I made a mistake, but oh well, people make mistakes. Like, you can't look at things like that. You can't look at things like that inside yourself and expect to kind of get the respect and get the you know, the acclaim that kind of comes with what you've done, right? It hurts the brand, right? At the end of the day, it hurts the brand. And anybody who's into business, um, anybody who's, you know, trying to be into business, you got to understand, you don't mix business with pleasure. That's like a number one principle, right? I know you can come up with all these different kind of ways where, oh, well, co-workers and well, a CEO is going to do whatever. Nah, when those people do that, the co-workers things, it's whatever. If we're on the same kind of level, there's never really an issue there. The issue is always with somebody who's dealing with subordinates, right? And this is probably the highest form of that, because you're basically telling somebody you're going to give them a job or work to fuck you. You know what I mean? And that's, I mean, that's just, you can do that without saying that. You know what I mean? It's corny to say that and for that to be the actual agreed upon angle. I don't know how you get around that. Obviously, they don't have a business partnership or any type of contract, so that may be the way to like weasel out of that. But just as a man, how you do things, nah, that's why. And the way he talked to the chick in the text messages, I'm not even like advocating for the chick. I don't really, know her, or you know what I mean, care too much. But like, it's corny, right? Like, it's corny nigga shit. Yo, you fuck my friends, and so you gotta do me. Why would you even wonder if you a high value dude? You got chicks, 8, 9 chicks coming to your apartment at night to do the show. You make the show run. You shouldn't be that hard up for pussy, bro. Like, it's no way. It's no way, right? Like, that can't make sense to me. You shouldn't be that pressed for pussy that you, number one, you propositioning a chick, leveraging your business, leveraging opportunities. She's not like that. She's across the country. You're talking about flying her in, like, and this is the angle, and then that's the game that you use. Oh, you smash some of my friends. Not to mention, it seems like you got put onto this chick from another dude. So just out of respect for another man, you should move with this chick in a way that is at least, if nothing else, respectful to that bond that they may have, And that's not saying that he can't try to fuck the girl, but that's like saying, like, do better. You know what I mean? And that's a real thing to say. That's something that a dating coach would say to a client. So I don't see the offense that would be there. Um, but the main issue is that, how is a dating coach, somebody who's charging $800, $1,000 for courses or consultations, how are they in these positions, that hard up for pussy, or that pressed, or have such a weak game that it can be exposed in a way that it was exposed? Um, I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't get that. So it shows kind of lack of judgment, some type of flaws in the character, and that was the bigger one for me. The one with the chick that he knocked up, whether she's lying, whether she's pregnant, whatever it may be, you had raw, unprotected sex with an OnlyFans girl that you met through your platform. No offense to the young lady, but just watching some of the streams, watching some of the things that she has done, just kind of following the story, she doesn't seem to be mentally stable. And like that's something that you said as well, right? Like you said that, and you still pursued her, you still smashed her raw, you still did whatever you did in a way that she was somehow confused, right, about what the relationship was, and now she's hurt and she's doing all these different things. It's not even about whether she's pregnant or not. It's about that as a man in that position and somebody that advises others, how are you making that mistake like that? You're a hypocrite. You know what I mean? And that's, to me, that's like one of the worst things you can be, right? A hypocrite and a liar. You know what I mean? Usually when you're a hypocrite, you're a liar as well. So hypocrite is kind of like at the bottom. You know what I mean? And the, these things are hypocritical, you know? And it's not even just hypocritical in act. For me, a big part of it is hypocritical in taking responsibility and being a man and all that back end stuff that, you know, is preached about in the Manosphere, and that's the better side of it. Forget about the side that just complains about women, right? The side that really matters is the one that makes men improve. And I feel like they have exploited and taken advantage of some of their fans and subs, if not directly, indirectly, subconsciously, because you know you aren't really what you say you are. You know what I mean? And you know you don't move the way you tell other people to move. And you charging big money. You know what I mean? You're charging big money for it. And like that, just knowing how thoughtful people can be, right? As a thoughtful person myself, I consider myself to be an intelligent person. I can't just sit here and give somebody a pass and act like they're not aware of that. Like when you go bag a chick, or when you were texting that girl and she was curving, right? She was curving. She wanted to keep it strictly business. She was looking for a come up PR, the Anna Quinn chick. She was looking for promo, right? So she's being friendly, she's being bubbly, whatever. You're texting her, you're not getting the energy that you want back. You don't think about the fact that, I'll be telling other niggas how they do this shit, and I can't even do it with this basic joint, right? And then it's not even like you just deaded it, like, all right, you know what, I ain't even, you know what I mean, we good, we don't even have to work together. You got on your bullshit and started talking about how your friends hit and how she ain't shit and you high value. It's like rhetoric, you know what I mean? And it's like you that's what people do when they're not real. You know what I mean? You do a lot of acting, you talk about a lot of shit in like these grandiose ways where it's like in that text message it just sounded like a real arrogant cornball. And I mean, maybe that was a low moment for him. Maybe that was a fuck up. Players fuck up. Men fuck up. Like people fuck up. You know what I mean? It's not a big thing, but like when you have those moments and you like kind of confiscate it and you start pointing the finger and well, she did this and she did that. Well, what you did. We can read it, we can see it. So what do you have to say about that? What do you think about that? How would you compare this to how you've told other men to act? You know what I mean? And I don't think it compares well, and I see a lot of people just kind of skipping over some of the real points about the issue to give them a pass, give them a plea. And that's not really kind of what we do. You know what I mean? That's not kind of what should be done. Um, yeah, I don't know how to call it, man. I don't really know how to call it. It's one of those things where I feel like it's showing you showing you where people are at, man. It's showing you really where people are at. And I think the biggest thing that bothers me is that, like, for all the young men who initially maybe were looking at this as a positive thing, trying to grow, trying to be better as men, trying to be better with women, improve their finances, credit, all these different things that they did teach, right? They did teach and they get full credit for that, and even bringing some of these topics to the people that they brought it to. But, like, if you were in that type of kind of mind frame, right? Let's take it outside of fresh and fit, right? Let's just say a kid got an education, and you got an education at a nice school, a nice college, and You learned all these things. You were supposed to learn all these things about integrity and all this other stuff, right? All this, how to handle yourself with women, all these things. And then you watch your friend basically fail, right? Like he's failing, right? But because now you love that person so much and you think they're right, you start using their answers, right? You start using their knowledge. Like that's bringing you down. You know what I mean? That's erasing whatever good that you learn, because now you're willing to act and condone shit that you know like is not it. I mean, it's not hard to kind of put it together, but it seems like people just don't want to. You know what I mean? It seems like they like fresh and fit, which I can respect that. But at the same time, shit, you can like me, nigga, criticize me, keep me on my toes, keep me on point, make me better, and that's what they should want. But it seems like maybe because of the snowball effect and the PR, they have to kind of push it a certain way, right? And they have to make it seem a certain way. And that way, to me, it's not accountability, right? It's not accountability to say, yo, I was wrong after you got exposed, right? After you got exposed, there's this whole media avalanche around you, or YouTube avalanche, right? I won't say media, it's not that big. But this whole YouTube avalanche around you, you're like, yeah, okay, I did it. That's not accountability, nigga. That's just admitting the wrong, right? And then when you follow that up by saying, well, but this person is that, and she's crazy, and I tried to get her a pregnancy test, and all these different things that don't really excuse the fact that you did some bitch made shit with Abba and Preach and didn't want to run the fade, right? Whether you think Abba and Preach are wrong or not, it got to the point where you offered the fade, disrespected his wife or Preach's wife, and backed down from there. You know what I mean? So that's weak. Um, the Anna Quinn shit is weak game, bro. Forget about the girl. Forget about the disrespect, her pregnancy, all that stuff. That's all added to it. But the basis of it, it's weak game. It shows that you aren't who you say you are. You're kind of fraudulent, or at least in that moment, you were moving like a simp, like a clown. Maybe you can call it alpha, but that just seemed like a thirsty simp, right? And it seemed like a thirsty, upset simp to me. I wouldn't say that's alpha. Alpha would have been like, yo, come out here. When you get her there, you know what time it is. But that wasn't what you did, right? You did some bitch made shit, made it hot, and when she got upset, instead of just like these hoes ain't shit, you got into this whole kind of back and forth thing with her. That then got your business put in jeopardy, got you exposed, and had another scandal. That's just not how you should move. Forget about whether it's right or wrong. You're supposed to do everything you can to keep yourself out of those positions unnecessarily. So I don't get that part either. And then with the whole pregnancy with the Miss Cheeks chick, she does have a fat ass. I'll say that. You know what I mean? But other than that, like that should be regular, nigga. You live in Miami. It's baddies everywhere. You got shorties coming through the studio, and especially you as a quote unquote high value person, high value man, you're supposed to have your pick, right? You got options, right? You're supposed to have all the options. Even when you had your text message, you talked all this shit about how there's all these different women in Miami, but look what you're doing. You chasing around OnlyFans dots. I'll leave it at that. And no matter how bad she is, even if you smash, please use a condom, right? All right, you fucked up. You didn't use a condom. That's dumb from somebody in your position. You have a lot to lose. Look at the position that all these different things put you in. I don't see how the fans can just ignore that. Sure, you can ride with a person, but you can't ignore the fact that they made mistakes for them to even have a reason for you to have to ride with them. You know what I mean? That's real. None of that stuff can be refuted. It happened. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope that, you know, maybe with some time by the end of the day, things will clear up a little bit to where there's more kind of direction for everybody else as a whole. Because right now it seems like there's a division, right? And with that division comes a division in the kind of knowledge and the philosophy behind the manosphere. And I think that that's something that we got to avoid as much as possible, just because, like, in this sense, um, the more this kind of drags on, it's going to be a fresh and fit thing versus whoever else, right? And it's like, I'm with whoever else if that's the case. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? I can't rock with that fresh and fit shit like that. You know? I mean, it's just not for me, and I'm not knocking it. I can't knock anybody else for going with it, but I would call you all frauds, right? Without any correction to the behavior, which is what accountability is. Um, you're fraudulent because you niggas co-sign sucker shit, picking on women, bullying women because you ain't get pussy. Like, that's corny. It's just not even about the women. That's corny nigga shit. I would tell my best friend that, nigga, come on, man, we out. Stop talking to that chick. We out. You know. And so I don't really get how you can kind of like make sense of any other energy. And it is what it is, you know. So I hope that those guys who are kind of following them, even if they kind of come around and they want to support fresh and fit, I hope that there's more conversation about what could have been done better, what the mistakes were, because that's something that you can teach somebody, right? You can teach somebody that, hey, listen, this is what I've been through. And I mean, one day maybe I'll talk about some of my things that I'm going through. I'm not going to get personal until I get paid for it. But that's an angle that resonates with me because things happen, whether it be a mistake, whether it be something forced on you, whether it be, you know, whatever, right? Like, things happen to where we have to internally become better, right? And every opportunity I think we have as men to give an example and show that to the men that look up to us, or our children, or the people behind us, or even people who may be in similar situations that relate to us, or people that came before us, showing them that, hey, this knowledge, whatever you tried to teach me or show me or whatever's been put out there, I actually observed it, absorbed it, and put it to use, right? And you can't say that. You can't say that with Fresh and Fit right now. They fucked up, and they fucked up. It just got exposed last week. So for people to already being like, oh, it's over, we don't want to talk about it, even they said, oh, we're not going to talk about this ever again, right? And it's like, if you work in certain industries, man, you can see through this shit. If you have experienced certain things, you can see through this shit. It's PR right now, right? They're trying to save face, they're trying to save their fans, but they're not trying to help their fans. They're not trying to make them better. You know, they just doing what they do. So, you know, hopefully there's no more clout chasing around them. I would definitely hate for there to be like made up stories that keep coming out. But whatever's true to the situations that they have talked about or have been presented, or some of the mistakes they've already maybe made that they still not even being honest about, you know, when those things come out, maybe it'll be worth talking about. But right now, man, I just want to kind of say to the fans out there, I'm sure you probably not even watching this, to be honest. Maybe like title it something to get you niggas open. But to the fans out there of Fresh and Fit, man, like, if nothing else, man, like, separate the information from the informer, pun intended, and separate the knowledge from the platform, you know? And if you still rock with the platform using the knowledge that has been preached there, right? Make sure they're held accountable. Make sure they are consistent, you know? I'm not telling you not to like anybody. I would never tell anybody not to support anybody. I would just say how you go about that needs to be in a way that's respectful to your principles and your values. And your values and your principles, your integrity, your character, it should be all higher than some of these situations that these boys have put themselves in, you know? So, I don't know, man. I just wanted to say that, you know, I ain't really trying to get clout off the names of anybody, but like at the same time, I did feel like I wanted to speak on the topic just because it has been a current event. I spoke on the other things, so I wouldn't want to not follow up on their actual response and kind of review with my own kind of take. And I respect them for trying to do it, but to me, it seems, and I'll even throw this out here, I feel like it was some bullshit. It was some bullshit. It wasn't real. It wasn't accountability. It was PR, right? And I get it. They got a big show to run, but it's a show now. You know what I mean? It's a show now. It's like TV. It's entertainment. I can't look at it as something that's really meant for the betterment of people if you're not using every opportunity to do that. So, yeah, man, that's it, really. You know, like, subscribe, fuck with me if you're watching this. Um, Top Slug, Sofa King, we out.